Okay.
Oh, it's almost there.
I think it's there.
This has a delay. A few more seconds.
Okay, we're live. All right, welcome everyone to our Planning Commission meeting for September 24th, 2024. Want to welcome everyone out tonight. We have all commissioners present with the exception of Amy Spires and Celeste Noland, who are excused. Public comment. This is the period that we have open for the public to make recommendations to the Planning Commission based on their needs and concerns, aside from the agenda of the items that we'll be covering tonight. So we'll open that up for public comments, if any. Are you? Okay, so seeing none, we'll move to item C, presentation and reports. Mr. Cooper, please.
Thank you, Chair. We didn't quite get to this in the work session, so I'll just give you a brief update on a couple of things. October 10th will be the ribbon cutting for the Safe Light location just across the street here. So Safe Light Glass, they've been working on getting that built out and open for some time. So you've all been invited to that. So check your email if you haven't seen it already. It's 11:30 on the 10th of October. There'll be tacos. We did go to the Chuck E. Cheese ribbon cutting, and that was very brief. If you blinked, you missed it. But they were very happy to have I think Commissioner Nolan was there. And did you come late?
I came.
Yep. We were done, I think.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Just missed it.
So wonderful place. They're already starting to see a lot of activity there. It's a much smaller facility than the old ones, if you're used to those. So they're happy to be here, and they anticipate a lot of success. Nothing new to report on a Tesla ribbon cutting. We haven't heard back from them yet, but they are finished and are working to staff up that location and get it ready for opening. I'll keep you posted on that. Smoked Taco is under construction finally, so we do see some activity there. And we're working on a couple of other proposals right now that will come to you as site plans. And so a lot of good things happening.
Great. Thank you. Let's next move to consent items. Consideration for meeting minutes from August 27th, 2024 for both the work session and the regular meeting. Commissioners, any discussion on those minutes? If none, a motion would be in order, please.
I move that we accept and approve the consent items.
Okay, all in favor?
Second.
Oh, whoops.
I got
Yeah,
a second. I'll second it.
Okay. Getting ahead of myself here.
Yes.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, those stand approved. Item E, action items. Consideration to schedule a public hearing for an ordinance amending the Riverdale Municipal Ordinance Code, Title 21, Chapter 21, to add new or modifying existing sections in compliance with the 2024 Utah State Legislature House Bill 476, further clarifying subdivision procedures and related matters. Mr. Cooper, this ought to be fun.
So it's brief tonight, just this one action. If it feels like deja vu to you, it's because it is. You all just did this in January. We're now looking at some of the changes that came out of the 2024 legislative session under House Bill 476. Those changes will augment the changes that were enacted by the City Council from House Bill, I think it's 271, I have it listed here, House Bill 174, back in 2023's legislative session. So here's a timeline of what's happened so far. And this is related almost exclusively to our subdivision ordinance, but there are some other modifications that we'll see in some other places as well. So in 2023, House Bill 174 was passed, and there were some significant requirements that came down to us in terms of changes that we needed to make. And so as part of that, the state allowed for some funding to flow through the Department of Workforce Services to the cities, and we were able to utilize that. We created an MOU back in November of 2023 with a law firm to help us walk through some of those changes. Those changes were brought to you in December of 2023, December 12th, if you remember that. They were pretty significant and substantial, but you made a favorable recommendation to the council back then, and on January 2nd, the council passed those under Ordinance 977. So that was as a result of House Bill 174 in 2023. Now we're looking at changes required under House Bill 476. Not as substantial, but there are a number of them that are going to be covered. I've included here, just for the record, everything that I just went over, the Resolution 977, and this is all of the Chapter 21 subdivision changes that were made as part of that resolution. So I just wanted to include that as part of the record, not really for discussion.
Good.
And again, tonight, the action that we're requesting is just to set a public hearing for October 8th. I'll have a more formal presentation during that time, and we'll probably invite our attorney consultant, Jay Springer, to come and make a presentation in depth about some of those changes, which is what he did in December of 2023 as well. But just as a brief overview, you'll see some changes to the development agreements. There's some limitations there. Updates to residential rear setbacks. The establishment of the process of when an improvement plan can be submitted based on a preliminary plat or a final plat. Clarifications around the number of reviews we can do based on a subdivision application. And then just a few cleanup items. There's some remedies, enforcement remedies that are clarified, and then some review clarifications. So again, we'll go through all of these in depth with the attorney here present, and we can take public comment if you so choose to set that public hearing now.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Cooper or anything that you would like to discuss regarding this before we move to a motion?
I think it's pretty clear.
So I move that we set a public hearing for an ordinance amending the Riverdale Municipal Ordinance Code, Title 21, Chapter 21, to add new or modify existing sections in compliance with the 2024 Utah State Legislature's House Bill 476, further clarifying subdivision procedures and related matters. That public hearing would be on October 8th, 2024.
I second that.
Okay. Olivia, could you poll the commissioners, please?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Kent Anderson.
Yes?
Okay. Amy Spires is not here. Rick Herman.
Yes?
Randy Polson.
Yes.
Wanda Nay.
Yes.
And Colleen Henstra.
Yes.
Perfect.
Okay, that motion passes. It's as unanimous of those present. So we will set that up for a public hearing for October 8th and have that further clarification and discussion for public to receive comment. Next, Item F, comments from the Planning Commission and city staff. Commissioners, any items that you want to address at this time?
I've had 2 comments from local residents asking about the status of where the curb and gutter completion is up on the west side that's going on up there above 1150. You familiar with that area? Just above Ritter Drive going south. They took about 3 roads and they tore out the gutters. It's been going now for 4 months. I know it's probably a big project, but they're saying, you know, the trucks are in there, they're out, they're blocking traffic. We don't know some days which way to go down or come up our street. And it's kind of moving back and forth between the 3 different streets, 5500, 5525, and 5550. They're bouncing around. So the people up in that area is a little concerned about, you know, is there a projected time frame? And number 2 question was the Freeway Park and Ritter Drive was supposed to be open by the middle of this month. And it's still not. They evidently assuming they run into delays.
I've heard that the delays are pretty extensive, but I don't know what those delays are. I do get updates frequently, but those updates haven't included details about that. I can find out about that. In addition to the other question, I know those 2 projects are not necessarily related, but traffic up there because of both of them together, I'm sure can be pretty confusing and hectic. So I'll get some updates on both of those and email it out to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other items?
No, I appreciate the opportunity we had of attending that meeting in Salt Lake a few weeks ago. That was, got a lot out of that. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Okay, if nothing else, we could,
What's our guest doing here?
He had his opportunity to talk at the beginning.
Ask him.
I'm just watching.
You just want to know what we're doing, huh?
Yeah, I want to see what you're doing. Yeah.
I bent his ear and told him to come see what we do.
Oh, okay. there is on 1150 that we live on. When you go down to hit Riverdale Road, you cannot or should not. It says you can't turn left. The sign for that sits way back. By the time they get to the stop sign, I don't think they've even seen that. And so you've got people trying to turn left, and at that corner you have an accident almost daily. And I think that's the reason, is because people are trying to turn when you got all that traffic and they can't turn left, but they don't see that sign because it's probably 15 feet or.
Good point, because even across the street with Target, it says the same thing, and we've got people trying to pull out of that Target exit and turn west and go up. And that whole interchange is a mess. I'm wondering, I don't know the expense behind some of these solar signs that, I mean, is it, because that's Riverdale Road, is that anything
That's
that the city could look at, or?
state highway, I understand that, but it's involving pedestrian. I mean, as citizens from Riverdale, it's causing these problems.
So certain signs have certain requirements for where they're placed, how far they are offset from back of curb, things like that. So let's check that first to make sure that the sign, especially on the north side of Riverdale Road there, is in the right spot.
I think the one coming out of Target, the no turning left on that one is hooked right to the stop sign.
Well, they're both left-hand turns, which is, if somebody gets hit, they're going to be the one typically at fault.
Right.
Because they're making a left-hand turn.
That's why I say let's check to make sure that everything is correct in terms of what it should be. There's some guidelines around that. If it's just if everything is correct and it's just a matter of people ignoring the signs, then that's probably an enforcement thing that we can look at. I know this was a topic maybe a month ago in one of our staff meetings about how folks are just
Yeah.
So let's check on the placement of the signs, and then I can ask about maybe helping get those signs more obvious, flashing or larger.
The other thing is, I thought, if you came up and had you know, a sign on the road, an arrow that says this way, maybe that would attract them, that they could only turn that way. Because a lot of times they have those
a
arrows.
right-hand arrow.
Yeah, left-hand arrow that says, or it'd be a right-hand arrow.
Well, and
So
even some of those curbs that guide
The pork chop.
Yeah.
so that you can't.
One thing we want to be super careful of is signaling to UDOT that we need or want a median of any kind, because medians are business killers. And further up the road there, past the Target and the mattress firm and everybody, it wouldn't be a problem. But if we put a median essentially down that whole divide that captured both left-hand turns and protected it, then that would probably be detrimental to the businesses. So we want to pursue all the other options that we can to help traffic flow better and help people make good choices before UDOT just says we're putting a median there.
Isn't that a bit of the problem that we're seeing in front of Panera, that they're trying to, because of all that congestion in there, that they had been moving towards that?
Right. And that is also a right in, right out movement. And luckily, there's multiple other options right there. But I don't know a single business that favors a median, even when you're on the right side of the median. They're just not good.
Yeah.
The other place Maverick, the Maverick there coming from Walmart, there's only one left-hand turn that turned onto Riverdale. I'm seeing them take both lanes and turning. And I've seen that several times. And I went, but the sign up there just has the one sign that goes that way. The other goes straight through. But people are just, and I see all people honking at him and all these and I thought, either they're doing what they want to do. Let's put the face. And if they don't get caught, then we just continue to do what we want to do, right?
They just put a seal over that parking lot through that complex, and I'm not sure if they've restriped that area. If they're striping on the ground.
I think she's talking about at the light going onto Riverdale Road. Is that what you're talking
Yes.
about?
Turning west.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
At the
Two lanes of left turn.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they're making the second lane a left turn lane as well as the right hand.
It's not, because there's actually three lanes there. One turns right, one goes straight through, and one turns left. And they're taking those two and going like this.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
And I've seen it several times. I've seen all these people honking at them, and I went, we're going to have an accident here really fast.
Any more updates, Brandon, on the roundabout on Ritter and the 5-way intersection?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. So our goal is to get the construction to coincide with the subdivision. The subdivision is making good progress. They're finishing up the underground utilities. They are likely not going to get pavement down before the end of the season, but we will see road base down enough for them to pull a building permit. And so we're hoping that we're building the roundabout in earnest in springtime. So we have been working with the state, who gave us a large part of the money for that project. That was years ago, and the costs have increased, so we're going back to the state. It's a grant with a local match. We're going back to the state, showing them our new numbers, asking them to increase their grant, which would increase our match, and we've got the money for that. We're working that out now, and we're also working out some final details with Weaver Basin, because there's a big water line and a ditch that comes through there. So just final kind of pre-construction stuff to get us into hopefully springtime construction.
Okay, thank you.
But 1500 up there, America First, that roundabout there, that's probably they're not going to be able to get that done until spring as well.
So interesting about that. We had a conversation today. We have a
Because October is when the plant shut down.
well,
Isn't it?
depending on whether the plants can stay longer, but we have a public works mandate of October 15th. So despite the nature of the asphalt availability, our rules don't allow you to lay asphalt after October 15th or pavement. So what they're going to do is they think based on the progress that they've made over the last few weeks that they'll get all of the roads up to the circle paved permanently before October 15th. So that means they'll pave it, we'll accept it, it'll be permanent and good. But then the roundabout, they'll miss that deadline because they still have some work to do there. But they'll go ahead and pave that late and then tear it out in the springtime. They'll pave it, you lay pavement in 2.5-inch lifts to create 5 inches of a pavement mat. So they'll probably just pave the first 2.5 inches to get us through the wintertime because they agree with us that how it is now is we're not going to be able to get through another winter safely with the way it is. So I think if all things goes well, we'll have a paved roundabout before the snow flies.
Well, I'm sure Tesla will be excited to have that done too.
You can't get in very easily.
Yeah.
So you can't use that road around until that roundabout's done, you know, because they've closed that all off. So you can't go around America
It's all
First
blocked.
until that roundabout's done. Is that right?
Right.
Is that what's stopping it?
The new road
Yeah.
gets redirected back to the old road.
Yeah. So you can't use that new road until the roundabout's done.
And then one last thing, UDOT was going to be starting 4400 at 15 and between 15 and Parker,
Yeah.
or between Airport Road and Parker. So is that, I know that they've readdressed that as far as it's 3 lanes north and 2 lanes east. I mean, 3 lanes west and 2 lanes
I think so.
east.
That's
And
terrible.
so that's probably not going to be until 25.
Right, so we're working with them now because they have not actually gone to final bid on that project, which means that as they go through their last bit of design, they do a kind of iterative bidding or iterative pricing. We're seeing some price increase, so we're kind of talking about that now because we have a participation in that. So they're coming back to us with some price increases. We're saying probably not going to happen. But nonetheless, they're going to not even bid that until the end of fall, and they won't let a construction contract until probably February.
Okay. In doing that, is that a completion fall of 25 or a spring, summer of 26? I mean, you know, because that's a,
They haven't told me what the construction timeline is. I don't know if they've projected that out yet, but I assume it will take a good part of 2025.
yeah. Okay.
So it'll be nice to have that roundabout clear and open when that starts.
Yeah.
So they'll have to increase the underpass, right? And make it,
With,
They'll widen and lengthen both those bridges.
and that'll be major.
And they're doing away with the roundabouts, is that right? Going to put in traffic lights?
As part of the overall phasing, I'm not quite sure if it's going to be with the bridge work. But yes, the overall
Where would the traffic light be?
1500 and 44, wasn't it?
three-way stop, I think.
It's a big, huge
And
project.
the Roy roundabout too, I think, will go away.
And the one at Parker Drive?
Doing away with all the roundabouts, huh?
Yep. All those roundabouts are going to be gone. Which I think they work great. I'm going to
yeah.
hate to see them go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Parker Drive used to be a nightmare trying to turn east off of Parker.
Yeah.
In fact, the Utah DMV put out a study that said that a typical four-way stop has 54 points of conflict, just with all the options that you have for movement. A typical roundabout has 14 points of conflict. So roundabouts, if navigated properly, are much safer.
Well, and I think that the traffic keeps flowing through there better. From what I've seen, that's just been my impression. But yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
be
the
sad to see
lights are
those
gonna
go.
back everything up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else, commissioners? If not, we could entertain an adjournment.
I do have one more. What's the update on the housing down on Pacific Avenue? The apartments coming up down there,
The townhomes?
townhomes?
Yeah.
That we gave the
Actually, we have
extension.
a pre-con meeting for today, which means that they are weeks away from starting. They'll pull a grading and disturbance permit, so they can start their underground work probably in a week and a half, and then building permits soon after that. So they want it to be entirely done by the end of this time next year.
Oh, wow.
They're running against the timeline on what we approved them, the extra timeline for this year. Now the winter's coming in too, right?
Yeah, so all they have to do is apply for a building permit, and they've done that.
They've already done that? Okay,
Yep.
sounds great.
okay.
So we're in good shape with.
Good there.
With
Okay.
procedures. They're running into winter, so, it's gonna be a tough go
It is.
for the next few months, but I think they were pretty optimistic about it.
Cool.
Can you just tell me again one more, so my clarification, is there gonna be parking outside the townhomes on Pacific, or is that gonna be required all parking off of Pacific into the,
It's inside the subdivision, or inside the development,
not parking on the outside
that's right,
on Pacific?
that's right.
Okay,
There's a few spots here and there, but then they have kind of a bigger spot up to the north. They bought an extra piece of ground that's kind of weird shaped, and so they put visitor parking.
okay.
Have we seen the plan?
Yeah, we have.
We did,
Yeah,
we did
approved
approve it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we had approved it once. Okay.
It's a pretty good plan.
Okay.
Yeah, the only thing I couldn't remember is if the cars were allowed to park on the street or not, because it's kind of a tight little turn anyway.
Curve, I think.
Yeah, good. Okay.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Okay, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
I'm on my way to go over and see Amy right now.
Okay, we'll tell her, give her our love, and
I will.
I hope she's doing well.
Well,